Hey guys, Alucard here, also known as Reddit's favorite demon. And today I'm going to talk about what the developers attempted to do in the May 17th patch, why it was the wrong way to go about things, and what this might mean for Evil Dead the game's future. I'll be explaining how the developers targeted all demons instead of just one with their nerf, and how they seem to show a clear bias of urgency when an issue favors demons over when issues favor survivors. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. We have a recent patch after my ominous forewarning, begging them to not ruin Demon. But the Saber, in their wisdom, still attempted. They didn't accomplish it because there's still a way to do it. But they tried to ruin Demon. They tried. Good thing that Saber tends to fail a lot at doing things, including a horrible nerf that would also ruin a lot of things for most demons. So basically what I'm talking about is the May 17th patch, where this is the most important thing. Bill can no longer chain possess survivors, right? This did need to be nerfed. This did need to be nerfed. They shouldn't just lose control till they die. I admit that. However, what this translates to, since the devs don't explain it, let me explain it. I'll do a better job than them on the patch notes. Traps and proximity portals no longer activate when you walk a possessed survivor into them. When you leave them, when you unpossess a survivor, right on top of the portal, it will not go off. They can safely run away. Unless they run out of the radius and run back into it, it will not go off. Now, this is a terrible solution because this ruins the whole mechanic for every other demon. It's not just Bill that no longer can, quote, chain possess. It's everybody, if chain possess means setting off traps. So that's incorrect. It's not just Bill, it's everybody, because Warlord used to be able to do it too. But you still can, because there's a way to dodge at the last frame as you unpossess, and I think running heavy, I have to practice it. But it's stupid that I even have to practice it, but basically we can still do it. So it's ironic that they kind of made Bill stronger with this patch once you master that. But it doesn't solve the problem, okay? So, and this is bad balancing because they nerfed all the demons, or tried to, in order just to address one. That's terrible balancing 101. That's why the devs never seem to do anything right. And the other thing is this update happened really, really fast. Okay, 3 weeks is already an update. Okay, they immediately rushed to nerf a demon-sided problem while leaving tons of survivor exploits and core problems unaddressed. Okay, so let me tell you something. When people asked about Ruby, who was broken for 3 months, by the way, 3 months, and people abused it while MMR was going on, people would abuse her. Not everybody, but a lot of people would abuse her over and over again, getting almost a guaranteed win with the insane amount of damage and everything else she was doing for the team. And look, someone on the support team responded to somebody 2 months ago, Zahariel, and this is Saber support, Sentence Wing. He works with Saber support, and he said, unfortunately, this is why they explained why it took so long. Unfortunately, fixes take time, and they can't be done right away. Even changing the amount of any value can be applied immediately. I think they mean can't be applied immediately, but you know, whatever. After changing anything in the game, it needs to be tested after a change. And after that, all changes are put onto a fresh build, which is once again fully tested. Man, amazing that the book Not Taking Damage somehow got past that. New builds have multiple fixes and take time to appear on all platforms because of platform validations and checks. Even hotfixes can't be applied immediately. We're working on fixing issues, and news should appear soon. Thank you. That was 2 months ago. It wasn't until April 26th that she was finally fixed. From February 8th, let's say, till April 26th, she was broken. And this was their excuse. Yet, magically and conveniently, they managed to come out with nerfing Bill ASAP. 3 weeks. 3 weeks they did it. May 17th, April 26th to May 7th, that's about 3 weeks. They were real fast at that one. Also, Anonymous, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, 7 months. Welcome back to my mom's basement. I appreciate it. But as we can see here, they were really fast at, you know, hitting this nerf. So how come this fix happened so fast when it favored the demon, but when Ruby was obviously broken to the point that even survivors were shaming each other for using her? Hey, fixes take time, buddy. Hey, we got certification. We got to test that, then retest that. Man, they really somehow retested things real quick for this one. That's crazy. Is it a miracle on 34th Street? How'd they do that? I don't know. Maybe because they obviously are biased with their urgency to one side over another. If that's not proof, I don't know what is. That's why I don't believe them when they say that, because even though it's true, I know there's a certification process. They can do things faster when they want to, like this patch. Look at that. So I will say this, chain possession did need to be nerfed, but it could have been done in alternative ways, and I'll go into that. That wouldn't ruin a core mechanic for all demons. Just like the puke cancel for Warlord. Puke cancel did need to be nerfed, okay? It is kind of bad. I know some people disagree with that, but it's kind of bad that one tick of puke means you're dead if you're a hunter, okay? I understand. They didn't want that. But what they could have done, here's an example. They could have made it so that after you dodge, after puking, you can only do 2 swings. That way, you still make a significant amount of damage, you know, that's guaranteed, but you don't just kill them from full health. There's something, there's definitely, that's just one example. There's other ways people have had ideas, maybe a certain amount of ticks for a certain amount of seconds you can't dodge before that for the survivor before you cancel out of it, etc., etc. There's all sorts of ideas that could have been done to make it so you don't just die from basically full health from getting puked on once. Okay, they could have done that. They could have made that a thing without just totally ruining the mechanic itself. And they're trying to ruin the whole mechanic of dropping a possessed survivor on a trap, which has been in the game since launch and one of the core basic things that demons can do. One of the few things they can do. So they don't seem to flinch at that. They'll just totally destroy it to address one thing, and then they just leave it like that. That's my problem with how the developers do things. That's why this is such a bad patch. That's why there's going to be a follow-up patch that definitely continues this, because they seem to think they're always right. So I'm going to explain why the developers can't just balance a major issue for one side for extended periods of time and alternate ways they could have solved it. So here's my alternative for chain possession. The main problem is that they lose control repeatedly till they die. And the main cause of this is because it's not being in front of the trap that activates, but the fear that they get from the trap that activates. It's unavoidable. So they're immediately possessible again, right? Instantly. So what they could have done is give them immunity to fear from the trap, let's say for 10 seconds after they're recently possessed. If they do that, then the trap still goes off, they still take damage, your unit still comes out, so you can still pressure them, and you can still set up, you know, traps behind them or other stuff, so they might set that off, and if it's during the 10 seconds, they still won't get fear, but you're having more pressure there. You know what I mean? In order to fear them again, you would need to have your Demon Dash ready, which should always be able to fear them, and then passive fear over time based on your threat level and other perks, etc. I've seen some people, I think even Wheezy, no offense, has said that they should just nerf, what's it called? Dead by Dawn. Hold on. Dead by Dawn is that the fear level when they're freed from a demon's possession, which, by the way, if that perk doesn't seem like it's intended to fear loop, I don't know what is. But right here, you know, the 20%, they said they should just nerf that. No. Okay, no offense. This is an example of feedback being wrong. Why they shouldn't nerf that, I can explain why, is because if they nerf that, that makes it useless. And then no one will run it. So why would we just have a useless perk that's bad? What they could do, though, is if they did this, you still get benefit from it, because they'd be at minimum 20% fear or something like that, while getting passive fear and stuff. Possibly if you're high enough threat level, maybe moving it up before the 10 seconds, but it would still have some value to it, maybe, without just totally ruining ever thinking about using it. Plus, it would guarantee the 20% would be like more damage they take at minimum from units, so that could matter. It would still have some value. You don't want to make a perk just have no value, even if you're trying to target Bill. That's not the way to do it unless you just totally redo the perk, so that would be bad. So anyway, there's that. Let me talk about some developer inconsistency. So in the same exact patch notes, right, it says on the 5th bullet, I believe, it says demon traps no longer stop working. They mean the traps don't break and go invisible during your Scarefest ability. But demon traps no longer stop working after unpossessing a survivor and letting him activate the trap. Why does it say this? It's like they fixed something for unpossessing the survivor and letting him activate the trap. Yet their answer to no longer chain possess is that you can't possess a survivor and let him activate the trap. I don't understand. So is this not intended? Because why does it? Is that a bad translation? What is that? Also, by the way, little side thought. It says now power possess doesn't get cooldown after the usual possession. Blah 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 blah. Now they're not talking about power possess because this is a typo. What they mean is mass paranoia, which is Bill's ability. I know that is a typo because I mentally also think of it sort of like a power possess. But this is just an example of how they rush things, like even the patch notes. They mean mass paranoia. That was the one that was bugged. Power possess might have also been bugged too, I don't know. But mass paranoia had that issue all the time. That's what they're talking about here. They just wrote the wrong ability because that's, you know, Saber. I know what they mean though. They mean that. That just shows you how they rush things out. They're in a rush all the time. Now, they need to be in a rush for things like the demon units missing the Necronomicon. Thank you for that, for fixing that, by the way, if that's true. I'm glad they fixed that. However, they kind of broke it in the first place. Kind of like if someone goes to your house and breaks your vase, and then someone says to you, oh, dude, he bought you a new vase. That's awesome. And you're like, well, he kind of broke it in the first place. You know, I mean, thank you, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's nice. They shouldn't have broken it. It worked before the patch, you know? But thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate them fixing his energy loss. I appreciate them fixing other stuff. They did nerf Brock a little bit. They nerfed him 2 to 8%. It's not just 2% because you have to factor in 4 family members. However, this is not, I'm going to talk about this for real quick. This is not the nerf he needed, okay? Thanks for the follow. It's not the nerf he needed. The nerf that he needed was that he should get a damage reduction bonus per non-family member, and he should get the healing bonus per family member. Why? Because, I don't know, Hunter Ash, Support Ash, and Cheryl are some of the top 3. I bet you, I wish I had the data in front of me, but I just know from my own matches of over 1,000 hours. These are the top most played characters in the game at any high level team already. You should be trying to give them a reason to pick other characters. Like, I don't know, Pablo or someone, right? Other not usually picked characters by giving them the better bonus instead of giving it to the characters that are already the strongest for their class, which is kind of ridiculous. So that's how I would have changed that as well. But, you know, typical Saber likes to just change numbers instead of fixing the problem. Anyways, I want to talk about some other stuff, but they're inconsistent. They don't explain their reasoning for things. They don't explain why they don't change things, like railing vaults since launch, like finishers being spammed back to back, even by characters that don't need or gain passive, you know, traits like Arthur, Leader Ash, Warrior Ash from their finishers, which is the excuse people, oh, I need my passive ability, that's why I got to do it. Well, a lot of characters that don't get passives from it still can abuse it. So I'd explain that. It's like an iframe loop of dodging into a finisher, and then you get the stamina back, so then you dodge again. It's frustrating. You have no control as demon. It's a similar concept to possessing them to death. It's not cool. Also, a bonus issue that I forgot to mention that hasn't been addressed since launch. Since there is only one button to possess everything, demons are unable to precisely possess what they want under pressure. Here's an example of me waiting to possess a survivor in front of me to stop the revive. Then I press F to possess them, and then I possess a car that was apparently behind me, which means that they get to revive now. This is one of the most common issues that demons have had since the game's launched, and one of the most common things that I've been given feedback on. And yet, for some reason, it's just never been addressed the entire lifespan of the game. It's almost as if some feedback is totally ignored. But yet, it's not addressed. No rush on that. And also another thing, 2 months ago, I'm sorry, I'll catch up the chat. I'm just trying to focus on this. 2 months ago, Saber said weapon dropping is not an exploit. However, they also said that they're going to consider to provide any alternative or positive solution to prevent this behavior in later updates. This was 2 months ago. How come it's 2 months of consideration for an obvious unintended exploit to circumvent fear? I don't care if people are okay with it or if they've accepted it. Talked about this last video. This is an obvious way just to exploit the system to not worry about getting possessed, you know, not being a risk to your team at all and counter the whole mechanic of possession. And yet they're considering it since launch now for 2 months ago. And yet they considered real quick to nerf Bill. That was a real fast consideration with that one. Man, they didn't really take their time with that. It's so weird how for one side, they take their sweet time and it takes months. But for the other side, oh, snap, snap, snap. We got to fix that quick. Oh, God. And they rushed it out even if it ruins a main mechanic for Demon. Luckily, there's still a way around it. Like I said, dodging at the last frame. They can still trigger the trap, but they're attempting to do this right away with no hesitation. It's funny like that. It takes time when it involves Ruby, which is an obvious thing even survivors agree was unfair. But yet when it's Bill, oh man, suddenly it's really fast. It's crazy. It's crazy how long unaddressed issues aren't addressed first. But that's my take with them. And what's up, Snackbot? What's up, Flying Dutchman? But yeah, I'm excited for Texas Chainsaw as well. But basically, if they don't explain things, they don't explain how the data, like I said earlier, showed them that somehow taking 100 points of HP from a car would affect the survivors rushing in cars. It didn't affect that at all. It might have helped a little bit, tiny bit, with cars in general, but it doesn't help them just all going different directions. Getting map pieces, you can only be one place at a time. You're under leveled. Can't really take advantage of that, even if you know where they are, etc., etc. This didn't solve it at all, and there's no explanation to how they thought it would solve it. There's nothing. They don't tell us anything. Still no communication basically in between any updates. Still no, I would love to hear their side of things. But they're not reliable as devs. You can't trust them to make good decisions. They keep making bad decisions. Like, for example, it's not a bad decision to nerf the chain possession, because I agree with that. But the way they did it is terrible. Just like the Pew cancel, I don't disagree. I understand they don't want someone dying from full HP because they took one hit of something. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But hello, that's not the way you do it. You don't just delete the whole perk basically from the game. That's not the answer. You're wrong. So anyways, another point I want to make also is that the reason that they want the window before that they can't get possessed again is because they want to give them time to heal or escape. Problem with that is because they want to give them these windows of healing, just like recoveries on combos and everything, but yet the heals can just last them from start to finish, even when you're pressuring them the whole game. I literally have videos of it. From a good team, I'm on them nonstop. Even the good team that can dodge most of my hits. So I'm like, but I'm still making them use Shemps a lot. And they could just get tons and tons of healing. I showed that screenshot last video, 40,000 plus. I think the guy's healed for 50,000 before. That's ridiculous. How come you can heal that much? You can't give them free. You have to pick one. Either you're going to give them free windows to heal, and then you restrict the heals a lot, or we have to have ways to interrupt it that are like, that are counterplays. You can't try to give them both. This is why it's so stressful playing Demon, because like how you're taking away a win condition, you're basically guaranteeing they get to the book. And then once they get to the book, guess what? If they have good weapons and know what to do, we lose. That's what I said last video too. Like, how is the Demon supposed to win? It's like that they keep pushing this agenda without addressing the reason that demons feel the need to chain possess and do everything else. You know what I mean? The reason that I have to dodge at the last frame now to do it, and I'll still do it, is because I'm just going to lose the game against good teams. I mean, I'm going to lose it anyway probably, but I'm definitely going to lose the game if I don't. Like, it's just a guaranteed loss. You can't win with the mechanics in the game if you play it as quote intended. You can't. And the devs just don't address it, leave it like that since launch, and don't care. And that's my problem. They, again, lopsided changes. They're willing to do this, and maybe months and months from now they'll consider reducing the heals or something. No one's going to play for months and months in an unfair world. It's not fair. It's not fun. We deal with that if you play the game every day. And that's why players are often in competition who can come up with more effective exploits. It's like a desperate attempt to balance the game better than the devs themselves. This is why gameplay can be hostile at the high level. People argue with each other and everything. I mean, that's every ASIM, but especially this game, it's just not balanced. They don't do a good balancing job, This is basically summing up. Let me look at my outline. Basically sums up my points, though. Basically, they have ways. They could have nerfed this stuff in better ways. They didn't need to just totally remove the mechanic. I'm glad that it didn't work, that we can still have ways around it for now. But this is just a sign that they just don't care. Because they, again, to this day, there's no reason someone should vault the railing, right? They should just take that out of the game, honestly. If they can't make them breakable, just remove the reason to vault them. Guess what? Demons have had to walk up those annoying, around those railings and everything in those narrow openings since launch. Maybe Survivor should have to, I don't know. But the only people that use railings are not noobs, not casual players. They're the high MMR people that purposely use it to exploit against you, to survive indefinitely. Not cool. The window vaulting doesn't completely solve problems with windows either, that units can vault that, because they can sort of body block you, and there's a weird delay if you attack before you could sprint again, and they get around the building. There's notorious buildings like on Kandar with 3 windows. It's like a 3-ring circus. They can really loop you around, even if you play really well with certain demons, where there's just not enough energy or pressure to actually stop them. They can just kind of survive indefinitely. It doesn't fully, like, half solve the problem, but not fully. It's another problem. But basically, this is what incentivizes a lot of things with the exploits. It's what incentivizes hostility. This pattern of balancing has kind of ruined what was a great game concept, and just turned it into the competition of exploits. Like I said, that's what it comes down to at the high level. It's kind of stupid, and it's sad, because we've given tons of feedback about wanting to feint in combat, wanting to have more options, wanting reworks on skills, etc., etc. We don't just want number changes. We want actual reworks. I know it's harder, but even a little bit of something reworked would help a lot. But they just don't do it, and they just don't communicate still. They just don't change, and it's sad, because I think this game's gonna fail because of it. And that's kind of my TED talk. Like, that's why the game's failing. That's the nail in the coffin to me. It's they're not going to change. Maybe if they came up with some amazing response where they actually communicate, but they're not going to, because again, they have a process of doing things, and that process involves them not caring. That's the devs. It's sad. Game could have been really great, but it's going to die because they don't have someone that's making good balance changes. They're just being like, we have to nerf this, and they don't really think about how that impacts the rest of the game the way they nerf it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and all that other stuff that every other guy tells you to do. See you later.